All right, guys, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the increase or the rise of female protagonists in games. Over the last couple years, really 2, 3 years to now, there's steadily been an increase in female protagonists. And that's rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. For one reason or another, people are mad, right? People are tired of the woke people. They feel like their masculinity is being taken away from them in some instances. It's a whole thing. People are upset, and I did drop a video recently kind of touching on this a little bit, but some people were upset by about what I was saying, which is totally fine. You're free to your own opinion. And no, I'm not a Concord player. I don't play Concord. And some people were saying I'm just a Concord shill and shit like that. Like, bro, I don't play Concord. I want to get this across as plainly as I can. I am a reasonable person, right? I'm not like, let's say, woke, but I'm not like some degenerate either. I'm like an average person. If the story is good, I want to play the game. Naughty Dog is one of my favorite developers. They've created some games I've loved. So of course, if they come out with a game, I'm going to be excited. It didn't matter how the character looked to me. I was going to be excited for the game. Same with The Witcher. So that will lead us into our next point, which is, the games that got a lot of backlash for having female protagonists. So we'll start with The Witcher 4. The Witcher 4, they did a trailer, and the main protagonist of this game is going to be Ciri, which is somebody in The Witcher 3 that was a kid and you kind of trained with. And the whole series is the whole game of Witcher 3 is kind of setting up Ciri to be the protagonist. So I was surprised to see a lot of people upset about Ciri being the protagonist in 4. Like, surprise, surprise, of course she's going to be the protagonist. That's kind of how they set it up. You know what I mean? Like, I was a bit confused on the backlash there, but yeah, and there was also a lot of backlash again surrounding her face, saying she was ugly. I'm like, I don't want to, repeat last video, but legitimately, some of this shit does not make sense to me. I think people are just mad to be mad. I think there are some legit grievances in pertaining to some of the lore with the Witcher and how Ciri became a Witcher. And if that's your grievance, then you're 100%. I have no problem with that. That's something reasonable and sound. That you're not just hating just to hate. But everybody else that's like, oh, she's ugly. Like, all right, come on, man. Like, keep it moving. So yeah, we got, The Witcher 4. We got GTA 6 that received backlash because for the first time ever, we're going to be able to play as a female protagonist. I believe you can pick either or, but for some reason, I think people still, were negative about that. And also, lastly, being Ghost of Yote. Ghost of Yote, people were not happy about not having the same protagonist as the first game, because I think Ghost of Yote takes place like 100-200 years after the first game. And I think people were upset because they wanted more of a certain group of people wanted more of the first character, which is fine. I have no grievance with that, of course. But there were also people who were just like, I don't want to play as, a woman. To me, it just doesn't really make sense. And once again, I'm going to reiterate, because I think some of you guys got the wrong idea about me, because you probably obviously don't know me very well. I'm not some woke shill guy. I am an average dude, but I'm reasonable. I like looking at both sides, and I like being fair, right? I can understand why somebody might feel a certain way about female protagonists, but I can justifiably say I can understand why some people want to add more diversity into the gaming industry. You know what I mean? And I know the word scares the shit out of some of you, diversity, but that's just something that was bound to happen. Now, when it comes to my thoughts on the increase of female protagonists or the rise of female protagonists, is me personally, the reason I like playing games and the reason I think gaming is somewhat so popular is it's an elite form of entertainment, 1, and 2, it's an elite form of storytelling. As long as the story and the writing is not impeded or hindered by by political ideologies or anything like that, as long as it doesn't detract from the story, I'm all for it. As long as the story is good. If the story is good and the gameplay is good, we're smooth. I don't care if the person's a lesbian. I don't care if it's dude straight, whatever. You know what I mean? That's really what's important to me is if the story and the gameplay is good. Not every story has to resonate with me personally on a 100% level. Like if there's a lesbian character, me playing a game that has a lesbian character ain't really gonna make or break me. I'll play it, beat it, and then I'll move on with my life. And the next game will probably be, a heterosexual male character, straight male character, and I'll play that just the same. You know what I mean? Like I've played. You guys have to keep in mind, like most of the games I've played, at least, have been, straight male characters. I'm used to the gritty type of characters. So, I love those characters, but once in a while having a different, like, character, I don't really mind. I don't really see a problem with that. You can't always have one thing. You have to, I think it leaves room for improvement when people start trying different things. That's what diversity is for. So you can have different ideas, right? Now, I'm not going to say all those ideas are good. Like I said, I'm strictly under the belief that the writing matters, the story matters. Don't input your own political ideals that detract from the story. It's very important. It's a fine line that a lot of people cross. And I'll even say this. There are times when I guess the woke or people that write certain stories or have done certain games have crossed that line and it has detracted from the story, right? But Naughty Dog, I'm hoping that this isn't the case here. Like, I don't know for sure. I haven't played the game, but it looks great. I like the way it looks. I like the aesthetic. I like the Akira influence. I like the Cowboy Bebop influence. I love that. So, of course, I'm going to be excited that one of my favorite game developers is making a game based off an aesthetic I already like. And as far as the rest of, the female characters, guys, I'll say this much. There have not been a lot of female story-driven narrative games, right? We're talking about Last of Us 2. We're talking about maybe Horizon Zero Dawn. There's probably a couple others, but I'm specifically talking about story-driven narrative games. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of female stories like that. So I don't mind them, trying to come up with some more. Games like God of War, games like Red Dead Redemption 2, your game, even Ghost of Tsushima, a whole slew of story games that are centered around a, masculine figure. I love those games too. But like I said, I think it's 100% fine. And I think there's room in the gaming industry for, a feminine character to have some stories like that. I don't see a problem with that. And I think you guys really shouldn't either. Now, I can't tell you what to do with your money. If you really just don't like it, it's a free country, brother. Hopefully, wherever you're at, it's a free country. Don't get it. But I hope that if you are like me and you enjoy a story, then don't let it detract from you. Don't let previous, let's say there was a woke game. Let's say Concord. I don't know. Concord. Let's say Concord is woke. Let's say Concord. I have no idea what's in Concord, but I keep hearing that. Let's say Concord is woke. Let's say Concord has a bald character in it, right? And then that bald character resembles the girl in Intergalactic. You're going to automatically make a one-to-one. Oh, this game's probably woke because that's how that character looked in Concord. I'm not going to get that game. Now, you could do that, right? But you could be missing out on a very good, experience. It might not be what you're thinking at all, or it could be. I'm not saying Intergalactic is going to be a game where it's like, it's not going to be woke trap. But my point is, we don't know. The only way is to play and find out, or wait for reviews, right? But you can't judge a book. I don't want to say you can't judge a book by a cover, because most people do. But me personally, I like to kind of try to see for myself. Last thing I'll say about this, because I'm yapping, there's a difference when it comes to Intergalactic, Naughty Dog's Intergalactic, because they have a track record of making a quality product. You get what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I stand on Intergalactic. As far as females in becoming female protagonists going forward, I don't give a damn. There's going to be female protagonists going forward, and there's going to be plenty of male protagonists going forward. Really doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a 50% ratio or anything. I'm just saying some of it is cool. Some of it is good. Some of it is a good thing. As long as the female protagonist, what I'm looking for when it comes to a female protagonist is the same thing I'm looking for in a male protagonist. Sometimes female protagonists can the, I guess, woke can sometimes put the female protagonist on somewhat of a pedestal. I really want the female protagonist to be vulnerable and to have flaws, to make mistakes. These are the signs of great storytelling. You can't have a character that's perfect because then there's nothing to develop. I think character development in a story-based game is obviously going to be a must, right? So you have to make a character that is damaged to a certain degree or flawed in order to improve them throughout the story in a variety of different ways. Just like how in God of War or Red Dead Redemption 2, Kratos, at the start, he's a dad who can barely communicate with his son. He's, having nightmares and stuff because, he's, his past is catching up with him and all sorts of stuff. The whole God of War story, amazing story. Same with Red Dead. Arthur Morgan struggling with his own mortality after he gets sick from tuberculosis. Sorry, this is a spoiler for Red Dead Redemption 2. I should have said that beforehand. But struggling with his own mortality and trying to, he's been living his whole life like a piece of shit. Finally, once he's at death's door, he wants to kind of somewhat turn his life around or, choose to do good for once at the end of his life. Great story. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm not explaining it in its full depth, either of the games, but they're both amazingly written, but they're both characters that are flawed, right? But developed beautifully. So that's kind of what I want from the female characters in my games. I want to be able to talk about the female characters in general. If you ever think I have, and this is the last thing I'll say in the video, if you ever think I have a political agenda, if you ever think I have a certain sort of stigma against one person or the other, all I care about is the story. That is it. I don't care about how somebody might feel about what I'm saying. Know that at the end of the day, all I care about is if the story is good. That is it. Okay. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. I told you guys last time, I don't usually do these kind of videos, but I'm thinking about dropping something like these like once a week. And, we're just going to keep it moving. I do like talking about things like this. I didn't think it would be so controversial, but I guess I should have guessed. But with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.